Alright, so today I'm going to talk about attacking in Rainbow Six Siege, and I'm going to go through the 5 pillars of attacking, everything you need to know to become a better attacker in Rainbow Six Siege, all the things you need to think about in your 5 stacks, and all the things you need to sort of discuss with your teammates throughout the game. Out of the two sides, attacking and defending, by like a fundamental standpoint, attacking is the harder side of the two. I mean, think about it from like a concept point of view. If you think about defenders have 45 seconds to set up a fully destructible environment however they like to. They have all these like 35 operators worth of utility that they can use to set up the site and set up around the site and set up different strategies that you have to try and pick out and like find flaws in. That you have to try and pick out and find flaws in with the drone in the drone phase that can be destroyed in one bullet. To add to that, the broken defenders as well in this game make it really harder as well to attack. So like if you think about the Tubarão and Bandit combination, which make it basically impossible to breach a wall if they Bandit and Tubarão like together trick a wall. With all that being said, it makes it really complicated to try and figure out how to consistently win attacks for even advanced players and more like experienced players. So a new player coming into the game, they'll probably be completely lost trying to figure out how to attack against all these different setups and all these different strategies. So I'm going to be talking today about the 5 different pillars that I think is the 5 sort of fundamental tips and tactics that you need to think about when you're attacking, and I'm basically going to separate it into different phases of attack. So this sort of video is more focused towards the 5 stack players rather than solo queue players. However, there will be tips that you can learn as a solo queue player that you will sort of be able to take into your game, and I'm also going to give you some tricks that are used by pro teams in their professional games. So make sure you stick around for that. Alright, so the first pillar of attacking in Rainbow Six Siege is the operator selection phase. The second pillar is drone phase and intel gathering phase. The third phase is the initial ideas and the initial sort of push into the round. The fourth phase is the mid round, which is like the sort of utility clear, the preparing for an execute, the droning the site, and the fifth phase is the final execute and post plant. I'm going to go through each of these and I'm going to give you advice for what you should be thinking about and doing in each of these phases. So when it comes to the operator selection phase, you have all of these 35 operators to choose from, and so the way that people in Siege like to sort of segment all of these different operators is in different categories, so different roles. The first role being hard support / breacher, the second one being secondary support, the third one being flex, and the last 2 being entry and second entry. So each of these different operators will fit into 1 or maybe 2 of these categories, or maybe even 3 with some of them. Some of them can fit into multiple different categories is what I'm trying to say. For the most part, the hard support will be people like Thermite, Ace, Hibana, maybe Maverick depending on the site, and then your secondary support will be people like Thatcher, Maverick, Dokkaebi, Lion. People with impact AMPs or tend to a lot of the time be secondary support, but on some sites there could even be people that make vertical play, or there could be like Gridlock or flank holders like Nomad and Gridlock like I just said, or even Osa as well sometimes. Now the reason I'm mentioning roles specifically instead of just giving you operators for each of them is because it'll depend on what map you're playing, or it'll even depend on what site you're playing, that who you will pick as an operator or who you will have for each of the roles. For example, a lot of the time you'll probably want Ace as your hard breacher. However, on some maps like Clubhouse where you're attacking the basement, you might want Hibanas, because with Ace, with the Clubhouse basement, there's 3 different hatches that you could possibly want to breach, as well as any walls on site or any walls into dirt maybe. So doing that with Ace, you can't actually do that. You can only breach, with Ace you can breach a maximum of 1 hatch and 1 wall. If you pick someone like Hibana, you have the opportunity to breach everything. You can breach all 3 hatches, as well as bait out impact tricks, as well as breach a wall maybe if you want to do that. So with Hibana on like a Clubhouse basement, it's more beneficial to bring Hibana. So you have to think about it in terms of what you want to breach and how you want to do that. Because also sometimes you might just only want to get like the kitchen hatch, and to do that you might want to bring an Ace because you want to try and get around the cage by putting the Ace on the soft floor next to the hatch. If you're not sure exactly who fits into each of these roles and you want like a full guide on like a specific role, like you want a full guide on how to be a second support, or you want a full guide on how to be a flex player, then drop a comment down below and I'll definitely get it right on. But generally, like I mentioned before, generally for hard support you'll want your hard breacher, so you want your Thermite, your Ace, your Hibana, your Maverick. For secondary you want like your Thatchers, your Osas, your Gridlock, Nomad, Lion, Dokkaebi. For flex, which actually happens to be my favourite role, is it can be kind of literally any of these operators, because it kind of depends on how you want to push. Flex, a lot of the times it might be your soft breacher, or a lot of the times it might be someone that has like a specific set of utility for that type of push. So like you might want to bring out a Ying, that could be your flex player playing the Ying. You might want to play like a smoke strat where you have like a Glaz or something, that could be a flex player on Glaz, or it could even be a support player on Glaz. But this is kind of like where you have the well, I mean, it says in the name flex, you can kind of play nearly anybody. However, there is type, like for each type of attack you want to do, there is a good like and bad choice of operator. So if you want to go for a vertical play, you need to be, your flex player needs to be on some sort of soft breach, like a sledge or a buck. Or if you want to play for like a smoke or like a Ying push into sight, you obviously need a Ying, kind of thing like that. The flex player as well has different sort of in-game sort of like responsibilities. For example, your flex player could also be like the person that's holding cutoff angles, not just like, so like your main push is to go from one side, and your flex player knows that, right, well if you're pushing from that side, they're going to rotate down this way and come down the other way. Basically, they're going to leave from the way that the attackers are coming from. So your flex player can go and hold that angle, which is called the cutoff, which will cut them off while they're rotating back to sight and get the free kills on them, essentially. A good example that I like to use for holding cutoffs is, think about this wolf window here. So if you see this wolf window there, this is the window that people will run past. If you're going for a master clear on the Aviator game site, people will, like, that are roaming in this trophy statue Astro area, will probably try and leave through this wolf way, like the wolf top red way. So if you have somebody on this window that can just hold this cross, they will be able to kill anybody that tries to leave and tries to go back to site. That's what holding a cutoff is, essentially. That's how you hold a cutoff. Alright, so now back to the different types of roles. When it comes to the second entry, this is pretty much self-explanatory, but basically this is the entry operator that will follow behind your first entry. This is the guy that will like play for the refrag on the first entry. However, you want to be really careful not to be just baiting your first entry. You want to make, if you realize that you're running in after your entry dies and gets the refrag, and you get the refrag every single time, that's not exactly a good thing. Because you're essentially just letting your teammate go and die so you can find out where they are and go and kill them. You need to be pushing with them, but not like too close. For example, let's to give you a bit of an example on how the first and second entry can sort of interoperate with each other, is that, let's say you want to clear from master side, like I mentioned before about the holding a cutoff. If you want to clear both trophy and statue at the same time, you can't really do that with one player. You can't really go in here, check this, and then check this like that. Well, you can, but not as efficiently as sending one player through here to check this side and one player through statue to check this. That's kind of how you would first and second entry, and then you can also like check to, like, if some, let's say your first entry goes in trophy and dies here, he knows there's a guy there, he's just called out there's a guy there. So then your second entry will go in here, okay, and you go kill that guy, so I'll kill that guy on the way back, kind of thing. That's how you refrag, not like, okay, my teammate's just running there, I'll wait here for a few seconds and then I'll go in behind him. That's not exactly how you do it, that's just more baiting. So now we're into the drone phase. This is the initial part of the actual round. This is after you've picked your operator as you spawned in 45 seconds of drone phase. This is not sit on your phone and message your friends phase. This is not sit on your phone and watch Instagram Reels phase. This is not sit on your phone and watch TikTok phase. This is not even just leave your drone and spawn and tab out of the game. This is where you need to actually be droning the map and figure out what's going on with the defending setup. There's like, if you use this time efficiently, it'll make it so much easier to manage your time on the actual round. I'm actually going to give you a little trick right now that is used by professional teams in professional matches in tier 1 games. And this is to actually, like, and what this is it's to have your support player and your secondary support player, or even your flex player as well in some cases, pick up their drones. I need to turn my HUD on to actually show you this properly, but if you see when you go on the drones, there's drone 1 and drone 2 here. When I'm flicking through the drones, if I have 3 drones that I want to flick to, it'll go 1, 2, 3, right? That makes sense, yeah? So if you want to set up flank drones and set up drones in specific positions around the map to make it easier to get into the map, which is a good tip to do, you want to have these drones set up to where you can easily flick through them. But if you're having to flick through them all, or having to flick through 12 different cameras, or well 5 different cameras where you don't know which one is exactly the flank drone, it gets it a bit like less consistent and a bit more confusing and time consuming to flick through them all to find the right ones. Let's say you have a setup of 3 different flank cams that you want one person to watch. If they have to flick through 7 different cams to find the right ones and keep flicking through them all, it takes so much time to flick through them all. So what you can do is you can actually like tell your secondary support players and your support player to pick up their drones in the prep phase, and then only your entry fragger and your second entry fragger and your flex player will set up their drones in positions around the map. This will mean that now the only drones that are on this on the drones, like active drones, is 1, 2 and 3, which is your entry, second entry, flex drones, which will mean that the first 3 drones, and then when you throw out a new drone, it'll automatically become after that, so it'll be drone 4, if that makes sense. Which means that your drone 1, 2 and 3 will always be the flank drones, which makes it so much easier to get on and hold a flank drone for later on in the round. Let's say you quickly die in in an intense situation and you need to quickly get on the flank drones. You can't have the time to fucking flick through them all. You can't have the time to go, oh shit, where's the flank drone? You need to just get on straight on drone 1 or straight on drone 2. It's so much quicker and so much easier to sort of navigate around. However, with that being said, if you are setting up drones in the prep phase, you want to make sure that Solus is either not being played or banned, because obviously Solus will just put a stop to that strategy. Now we're getting to the actual sort of meat and potatoes of the drone phase, which is actually trying to figure out how the defending team are setting up the site. How are they extending? What are they reinforcing? What are they making holes in? Where are they making holes below the default plant spot? Are they pushing out, like, are they going to extend over a trophy? Are they extending heavily into statue? This is where you can sort of find the different flaws in the strategy, because a lot of the times like utility will be heavily focused towards one type of push. So like they'll stack up loads of utility for like a study push, or they'll stack up loads of utility for some sort of master clear, which means that if you find out where they're stacking up this utility, you can sort of pick out the plan, like, and devise a plan with the IGL of how you can actually like attack against that. The way that I like to think about it is, why would you want to attack head on to where all their utility is set up, where all their, if they've got Azami barriers on this table or on this chair, like Azami barriers stopping you from pushing study, why would you want to try and push into them and destroy them all when you could just bypass them and go from like a master clear instead? Why would you push straight into where they want you to come because they've prepared it? Why would you want to go and do what they want you to do? If you've seen my video on how to defend, which if you haven't, there'll be a card in the top right of the screen. This is where this video talks about the 4 different types of defending like strategies that people use. Which this sort of part of the round is where you will sort of decide against that and decide that as your team. Like, how are the enemies setting up? Are they going for a heavy roam? Are they going for a heavy turtle? Are they going for like vertical C4s? Stuff like that. As well as this, in the drone phase, you can actually sort of change up your operators as well. So if you see that they're heavily running like things that need burned, if they're running as armies with loads of Jaegers and Wamais on top of them, then you probably need to switch out an operator for more flashbangs, or you need to switch out an operator for more grenades or more like explosives and like ash charge, or you might want a Zofia as well, kind of thing. Alright, so now we're on to the sort of initial clear of the round and the initial push. This is where you execute the idea that was decided in the prep phase. So are you going to go for a like cross map clear, or are you going to go for a heavy straight site push? Which, to give examples of both of them, a cross map clear in this like concept where the site is AV, and you want to go for a cross map clear. You'll clear from master side. You'll take master. You'll clear bathroom. You'll clear astro. You'll clear trophy and statue. You'll set up flanks. You'll set up flank coverage. Then you'll start pushing towards top red and 90, and then you'll try and breach towards site. Then you might, like, after you've breached the 90 wall, you might have your breacher go around to study and try and breach the study wall so he can hold the study cross so that you can go in site and plant. There's one basic, really quick overview of how to do a cross map clear on Villa. If you want to go for a straight site push, however, it incorporates a lot less having to drone around the map. All you have to do for a straight site push is go study balk, go main door, maybe art windows, and try and push up main stairs and clear top main. Try and maybe set up some flanks below so you don't get C4'd when you're trying to plant, and then try and take study control, top main control. You might want to breach this long wall, push into site there, or you might want to try and breach this site wall here, or like fight against the holes in the wall there that there might be. Stuff like that. Straight site pushes are great for like teams that don't have very good droning. If you don't have very good droning and you don't have very good map clear, like, or time management, because you can get lost trying to clear the map, you can go for a straight site push, which means that you have a lot less things to worry about in sort of time. This part of the round is where the time frame for this is sort of the first like minute and a half, I would say. And this is where in your IGLs, realistically, your sort of IGL or shot caller should be the one to decide all of this stuff. So so basically, he or she should say like, right, we're gonna go for a master clear, or right, no, sorry, we're gonna go for a study clear. We're gonna go for a straight sight push. So basically, I want my Ash and my Zofia, or I want my Ash and my Iana, or I want my Ash, well, I want my 2 entries to go down from below. I want one of them to go from the main door, and I want one of them to go from ARC window, and you're going to collapse on the main stairs from below like that. That also means that, alright, so I'm the hard support, but I'm also the IGL in this case. So I'm gonna drone you in, I'm gonna drone you in Ash, and Thatcher, you're gonna drone in the Zofia, or the Iana. If that's just an example, so like, they know that where they're gonna enter from, they know who's droning them in, and they know where they need to try and push. And then on what they need to sort of worry about, because the drone will tell them what to clear and what. Now the mid round essentially is where you start your sort of attacking site. This is where you start your sort of destroying the utility that's stopping you from planting. And this does not mean you're destroying every single piece of defender utility before you try and execute. All you need to do as an attacker is get rid of everything that's stopping you from planting. So let's say you've breached this wall with a hard breacher, right? You want to try and get into plant behind this bar here. So you know that, okay, well, as long as I get in behind this bar, I'm safe. So that means you don't have to worry about destroying his army barrier that's like top red. You don't have to worry about destroying a maestro camera that's in statue. You don't have to worry about destroying stuff that's not stopping you from planting. What you would have to worry about is something like, if you're trying to plant here, you've drawn out there's a maestro cam up there, or you've drawn out there's a maestro cam there, or you've drawn out there's a Valkyrie cam here, and there's a C4 that's going to be put below you, so you want to get rid of the utility. Basically anything that'll stop you from planting, you need to figure out where it is and get rid of it in this phase. Generally in this phase, it's your entry fragger or your second entry that are droning the site. They're droning the site to figure out where people are, where like the holes are, who has what utility to stop a plant. So who has the C4? Where is the C4 player playing? Where is the smoke playing? Where's he going to throw his smoke from? And that's where you can sort of figure out where you're going to plant that's safe. Like, you might want to plant on this pool table, you might want to plant on this bar. But if this hole's stopping you, like a hole that a C4 can come through to get you behind this bar, then okay, then I'm going to have to plant behind the pool table here. Or I'm going to have to plant like tucked somewhere. That kind of thing. That's what you figure out in this mid-round phase. Now finally, I'm going to talk about the execution phase. This simply is when you get the plant down and how you get the plant down and what you should be doing to get the plant down. Or alternatively, are you going for a kill strat? Are you going for a strat where you go in and try and eliminate all 5 of the enemies, or try and eliminate however many of the enemies are left alive? And I'm going to talk about why you would do each of them in a second. A kill strat, which is not sort of ideal, but sometimes you might want to do it. You want to do these are less consistent so a kill strat, this is where you don't have enough time to actually plant. Like, let's say in the mid-round phase, you've noticed there's 3 C4s and there's 3 smokes still left on the board, and you've got 45 seconds. You don't have enough time to bait out 3 C4s and bait out 3 smokes and then try and plant. You have to go and kill them all because you don't have enough time to plant. So, but in this kind of idea, this is where your IGL will say, right, okay, so we're going to go for a kill strat. We're going to try and eliminate each one of these players. They're playing on this position, and this position, if there's 3 of them left. So you're, like, Ash, you're going to go in and kill that guy. Iana, you're going to go in and back up the Ash. Sledge, you're going to go in and push the other guy. The kind of thing like that. You want to sort of communicate with each other who's pushing what and who knows what to worry about. So that you're not just going in, right, when you go kill them, let's all just run in like headless chickens and try and fight people. That might work some of the time, but realistically you want to be prepared for who you're going to fight, and then you and like someone to back you up. And this is like your IGL or your shot callers will decide this sort of stuff. Or the other alternate, or the sort of other side of the coin is to go for a typical execute, which is where you'll get a plant off. So let's say we're going for this example where we'll want to get a plant off behind this bar. So to do this, your IGL will sort of decide in the mid-round phase of when he finds out where all the utility is, where all the C4s are, what he wants to do. However, let's say you've got some smokes on the board, you've got some smokes, you've got some utility like that. Your IGL can say stuff like, right, well, I want you to smoke off this vault door. I want you to smoke off the vault door in the rotate hole, and then you're going to run in and plant behind the bar. Kind of thing like that. But it also comes... So basically, what I'm trying to say is your IGL should, in this phase, should say, just before you go into execute, you should tell you exactly what you need to do and what each player needs to do to get the plant off the way that he wants it done. You should be the sort of puppet for your IGL in this scenario. Like, it's good to be proactive and figure out what you want to do. However, if your IGL has a strat in mind, you need to follow that to the T. You need to follow every single word your IGL says, because he knows how he wants to get it done. He has the plan in his mind of how things are going to go down. So if you follow it exactly to a T, you all stand a better chance of winning the round. I think it was there was a pro player maybe that said, a bad plan can be a good plan if everybody follows it, and that quote has kind of stuck with me throughout my whole Siege career. Every single team that I've played on, I've sort of mentioned this quote to at some point, and any of them can probably attest to that. Like, I used to always say this quote in many scrims and many sort of practice games when we're like having troubles or struggling with things. So that means that as long as you follow what your IGL says to a T, you will probably stand an okay chance in any scenario. Now, let's say your IGL's called a push, you've got the plant off. What do you do now? You've planted behind this bar. What do you do now? Right, you don't just sort of, the planter doesn't just sit here behind the bar. What you need to do now is figure out a post-plant situation. This comes down to anybody who's alive in the round to sort of communicate with each other. This is not for your dead players to say how to play. That's called backseat gaming. What you want is for the people who are alive to figure out how they want to play this part of the round. And this is where sort of they'll say like, okay, let's say there's three attackers left after the plant's been put down here. This Ash runs out top main, so Ash is here. We've got a guy study Balk, and we've got a guy study window, let's just say. Now, how do you want to stop this? And also for this scenario, this wall's open so you can see the plant from there. Right. So how do you want to just like, how do you play against this, right? Yeah, Ash has just run back out top main. Now, Ash can communicate with these guys on the balcony, for example, to say like, right, okay, well, you can just hide on that balcony and play off my contact, which actually means to only like peek out and start shooting after Ash starts shooting. Like when she's made contact with an enemy, she starts shooting at an enemy. As long as everybody's on the same page, as I mentioned before, if everybody's on the same page and they like listen to the Ash and they're playing safe on the balcony, Ash can sort of just waste time here and play how she wants to play. And then as soon as she decides to like, or as soon as someone tries to make contact with the Ash and Ash like starts fighting them, she has the backup of the teammates to fall back on, as well as sort of wasting the time. And it also means that nobody's going to make a mistake of peeking out where they shouldn't be, where they're not covered, when like they could be, as long as they're just communicating with each other to say what's going on. Another way that you can play these sort of situations as well is to say like, okay, so I've planted behind this bar, but I can't leave because they're holding me with like two guns are holding me. I can't leave. So how about you people on the balcony just stay alive, just hide there, and I'll just wait here and waste as much time as possible. So I'll just sort of play around the bar. I'll waste as much time. I'll just sort of, I might just start like pinging shots around the sides. I might just start pinging shots over the top, trying to like jiggle around, make some shots. But I'm not trying to actually kill anybody. All I'm trying to do is just not die. And then the people on the balcony will know that, right? Oh, well, I'm not going to peek at all because he's wasting time on site. He knows that, like, we know that if he wastes as much time, there's less time that we need to sort of waste. There's less time that we need to sort of be ready. We can just stay alive out here and cover like a crossfire outside on the balcony so we don't get pushed. And we can stay alive, and then we'll have two people to stop the whatever defuse attempts there is after the Ash dies. But that's only in like worst case scenarios where you can't leave. You should always try and find a way to leave. If not, you're just basically a sitting duck on site waiting to die. So that's basically everything I want to talk about in this video. To give like a brief overview, I've sort of mentioned like the 5 different sort of pillars that you need to think about as an attacker in Rainbow Six Siege, and sort of the fundamental ideas of how you can like start attacking in Rainbow Six Siege and how you can get better at attacking. Talking about like each of the different like phases of attack, the initial clear. Essentially, I've just given you a bit of a blueprint for how you can sort of build your attack strategies off of in games, and how you can sort of plan out different rounds and plan out different attacks, and what you should be thinking about each part of the round. So like the operator selection phase, then the 45 seconds prep phase, and then there's maybe a minute and like 15 minutes like initial clear, getting the map control, and then maybe a minute or 45 seconds of the mid round where you try to break in utility, finding out how to get a plant, and then finally the last 45 seconds or something is your execute phase, and then whatever time after that is the post. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more by me, I upload every single day. I upload some sort of informational Siege video and try and educate you a little bit more on Siege and try and get you better at Siege. So if you want to see more like that, just drop a like and drop a sub, and I'll see you in the next video.